What's happening, people? And once again, welcome back to youtube.com/CubCamTV for this, another edition of the Cubcast Daily, our news section we run here on the channel, exploring different news stories, breakdowns, and a ton of other bits as well, including analytics, chart readings, and today we are getting into another top 5, which I'm very, very excited to do. We've been running these lists throughout the year, and we are now moving towards the end of the year, so we're doing our end-of-year roundups. We did do my top 10 tracks of the year a few weeks ago. We are now getting into my top 5 albums that have been released this year, and again, I need to stress, these are, in my opinion, the top 5 albums that have been released this year. I know there's probably going to be some controversy in here, leaving certain albums out, but these are my top 5 albums released across Africa this year. Now, the other thing to remember is this isn't focusing entirely on either Afrobeats or rap music. I have combined both of them in this singular list, as this is basically covering, for me, the entirety of African music that has been released this year, and these are my 5 favourite albums that I've actually seen and explored over the course of the year. So I'm very excited to bring you this list. Again, I've put a fair bit of effort into my preparation. It took me a long time to actually decide on what my top 5 were. So it's going to be an interesting one, we shall say, at the very, very least. As always, though, friends, if you are new to the channel, make sure you are getting involved by hitting that subscribe button on the right-hand side of the page. As I said before, we're trying to hit 65k by the end of this year, and we can do that with your help, so please do get involved. Now, we are going to start today's listing in number 5. Now, this is actually the most recent of the albums that has been released. It was an album I didn't actually know was happening, and then it landed. And what we're going to do with each of these individually is we're going to give the reasons why overall it's in the position it is, but also we're going to name my 3 highlight tracks off the projects that we are bringing. So there we go. That's how it's going to run, and we are going to open up with number 5, which is the very recently released album from Sarkodie. It goes by the name Jams. Now, this was a project I didn't see coming. Really interesting project overall. I really enjoyed how it was put together. Again, I've got notes written down, so we're doing this properly from a journalistic angle. This for me was a big return for Sarkodie, who is obviously a Ghanaian rap legend. He'd been away for a hot minute. We hadn't really heard anything outside of Labadi for quite a while from a listening point of view. And the thing that I found so refreshing about this was that he was not outdated at all. He was very much on point, on the money in regards to sounding like he was part of the now. Again, there's no filler on this project. There's 10 tracks on there, a really good list of collaborations on there, which all bring a decent level of collaborative understanding. And it's also, on a side note, it's great to see, obviously, Black Sheriff linking up with Sarkodie. You're looking at 2 different eras, I feel, of rap music coming out of Ghana with those 2, and it's really good to see them jump on a track together, which obviously, if you're a fan of this channel, you'll probably have seen is already into the top 7 most viewed videos on the channel in that short period of time. But for me, the Black Sheriff tune isn't in my highlights. For me, She Bad alongside Oxlade is definitely in there. Cougar alongside Loj as well, definitely a tune that I really like. And of course, Labadi alongside King Promise, a really cool tune. That one that I just absolutely adored listening to it. I really like the overall album. I love the feel of the album. I love how refreshing and new it sounds, but also how kind of true to the roots of what Sarkodie is as well, throughout the entire project, which I really did enjoy. So there we go. That one is in number 5 for me. We're not going to spend too long on each individual album. I'm sure you can go and listen to the albums yourselves. And again, I need to stress, this is my personal list, not based on stats or overall kind of rankings. This is based entirely on what I believe makes a good album, and that's why Jams is in there, obviously, from Sarkodie. Moving into number 4 then, Horoscopes. Now, for me, this was an album that I was so impressed with. I saw it coming out of nowhere. This was actually released on a day that was so jam-packed with other releases. There were so many people putting music out that day. It was actually quite mad. I think there was 2 other EPs out. Loads of people had put singles out. I remember being in the Reactors Roundtable group, and we were all going, how on earth are we supposed to react to all of this? I think I ended up putting out something like 17, 18 videos over the course of that weekend. Absolutely crazy, the amount of music that got released. And for me, Horoscopes was still the highlight. Again, Dr. Set on production. Make sure you check out the full interview we did with Dr. Set, because that guy is an absolute G with what he does. And I can't lie to you, he's just so good at just bringing together interesting kind of ideas melodically, interesting kind of pieces of production when it comes to the percussion and the crunchiness, and he did a fantastic job of bringing this album together on the production side, which was obviously assembled and I feel kind of co-produced to an extent by Basket Mouth. Again, a wicked understanding of collaboration again, which I feel is a key thing for an album in 2022. Variation of sounds as well, a lot of combining of rappers and singers to create a really unique overall feel, which I absolutely loved. For me, some clear highlights on there. Benson, Your Body, Really, really good. Again, obviously produced by Dr. Set. Alongside that, Peruzzi with Seloi. Again, a huge tune on there. But my favorite on there is one of my favorite releases of the year. And I'm pretty sure this did make it into my top 10 tracks of the year. And that is Johnny Drill alongside Simi and M.I. Abega with Love and Life. If you haven't heard this tune yet, for me, it's the definition of liquidized, a futuristic Afrobeats with an electronic twist. Fantastic tune. And a fantastic album. A really good showing from Basketmouth, who again continues to impress across whatever avenue he finds himself working in. Moving into our next one then, we do jump into an album which has blown a lot of people away. I feel for a lot of people this is going to be in their top 3 regardless, and that is of course Asake, Mr. Money with The Vibe. Again, this is such a breakout project for Asake. I think I saw a stat that he's the first Nigerian artist to top the charts with both a debut EP and a debut album in the same year. Again, incredible feat to look at, and the thing I loved about this project as well, it's just so unique. Like, everything about this project just goes, this is an Asake project, and everything about the project is kind of amplified by what Asake does bring to the table. He obviously has those cellos going on, the choral aspects of the hooks. He has a lot of kind of overall just very kind of amapiano kind of fusion going on. Obviously kind of incorporating a lot of percussion, a lot of rhythms as well. And the campaign was really, really enjoyable. Something you'll notice as we move up this is the campaigning behind it. Some incredible visuals to go with this project as well if you're taking it in as an entire package. Obviously, Asake and TG Amori have this kind of understanding that is just untouchable. And overall, I think this was just a special project. Probably the biggest breakout act in Afrobeat specifically across 2022. I don't know anyone who's actually been bigger, if I'm being entirely honest with you. And obviously the album was primarily in Yoruba as well, which was a cool thing to see. I love the fact that he sticks to his guns. For me, 3 clear highlights when the album actually dropped. Organize, unbelievable tune. Alongside this, Sunmami, primarily for its instrumental creativity, but undoubtedly an absolute anthem, a tune that I immediately heard and went, wow, this is incredible. Alongside that, of course, Peace Be Unto You. An outstanding tune. Obviously, you've got Terminator on there as well. You've got the Sungba remix on there as well, but those 3 are my highlights in particular. Moving forward then into the second album on this listing, the album that is in number 2 across the entirety of Africa this year, I am going for The Villain I Never Was from Black Sheriff. Again, another incredible project. A real breakout year for Black Sheriff. There's no denying that whatsoever. I absolutely adore this as an overall project. I love the feel of it. Again, following on from the success of Kwaku the Traveler and then Soja as well, this project just went absolutely haywire. It went crazy around the world. So many people are now kind of clocking in, I feel, to what Black Sheriff is all about, both melodically, rhythmically, and of course lyric-wise as well, which was something that I felt was almost slept on when you compare it to the other 2 aspects, because he's so good at both of them in his own unique way. Again, unique rap style. Something that I loved about this project is it was very much a kind of a step away from being formulaic. It was a drift much more towards the idea of creativity and being accepted for who you are as a rapper. Something I mentioned a lot during my reactions for this project was it was a real kind of statement of, look, I can be who I want and still be a rapper and go at it my own way, and I loved it. I loved that, the fact that that was such a big part of it. Again, his kind of touring following on from this has been amazing. Make sure you go and check out the HC Pod interview he did. Absolutely incredible to kind of listen to. I loved listening to it start to finish, and you get to hear a lot about who the guy is and where he comes from and his kind of journey. And I just love the fact that he has become a global star off the back of this, obviously performing at the Mobos, the sold out show at Coco, just doing absolutely fantastic things for your first year at the sort of top of the game. Incredible stuff. That's why it's at number 2. Now, number 1 on this list, I feel should be at the top of everyone's list, primarily for the impact it's had, the dominance that has been kind of shown with this album, the collaborative ideals behind this project. You've already guessed what it is. Of course, it is Burna Boy Love Damini. Again, an outstanding project that I feel has changed the game in a lot of different ways. But I did forget to mention my my highlight tracks from the previous album. Before we do that, I do need to make sure I do these. I had Kwaku the Traveler, Don't Forget Me, and 45 written down as my highlights for that project. Sorry for forgetting that. But moving back to Burna Boy. 3 highlights straight away. It's Plenty, How Bad Could It Be, and Last Last. Last Last, undoubtedly a top 3 tune this year. Even if it's not your particular favourite, the impact that tune has had, on the global music community. Absolutely outstanding. I haven't seen the tune do that much damage in such a long period of time, even though it was kind of outstreamed by Rema's Calm Down, and obviously it didn't get some of the accolades that we saw Essence get so far. There's no denying that was almost like, that's Burna Boy's kind of boom, this is me on the global scale. Obviously he's had other tunes. He's had Yay, he's obviously had Anybody as well. He's had On the Low. Like, he's had those, and they were kind of like accepted very quickly. But last, overnight, bang, this is one of the biggest tunes in the world. And that's kind of what happened with the album. Obviously, 4 continents covered: North America, South America, Europe, and Africa. I don't know another album that's done that, which has had this much success for doing so. Incredible collaborative ideals going on in there. You've got so many big names from across different parts of the world all coming together to create this timeless body of work. And I love the fact I've listened back to it recently. I did listen back to all the ones that I had on my shortlist, start to finish, to make sure I did feel the right way, and my opinion hasn't changed on this project. It's undeniably a classic album already, and this is obviously, before you get into what's happened afterwards, the incredible tours that have happened, the live shows which have been incredible, and the varying emotions that you get to feel actually listening to the project. You get to hear him at his highs, you also get to hear him at his lows. For me, that's why I loved How Bad Could It Be. That's a tune that really genuinely touched me, proper emotional. It's Plenty has that kind of celebratory theme about it, and Last is just a kind of, look, I'm here to have a good time, despite what's going on, and I just loved it as an overall feel. So there we go. That is my personal top 5 for this year in regards to albums released across African music, including both Afrobeats and, of course, African rap music as well, which I'm absolutely loving at the moment. I'm loving how much we've been able to dive into it. But there we go, guys. Let me know your top 5s in the description down below. Again, this is my personal listing based on my personal tastes, not based on stats or anything like that. It's more based on the magnitude and the impact that these albums have had on a global scale. Let me know your top 5s down below. Again, don't argue with each other, kind of don't get all rattly with each other in the comment section. Just say what you feel, and I'm excited to see what your top 5s are. We do read every single comment that comes onto the page, so make sure you are getting involved. And as always, if you are new to the channel, make sure you're getting involved further by hitting that subscribe button on the right hand side of the page, turning notifications on as well, leaving a like, leaving a comment, and all of that good stuff. And we shall see you all next time. Have a fantastic rest of your Thursday, and peace.
Them sounding so good right now, but they're sounding a bright and town.
Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel right now, Corp Cam TV. Stay locked.